Hello again, Internet! Welcome to my second book report. This one is going to be on this, Agent Zigzag by Ben Macintyre. A true story of one of the double agents that Britain managed to, well, one of the agents from Germany that Britain managed to coerce over to their side during the Second World War. The book takes place from 1939 till 1944, during the time that this agent was active around the period. And honestly, it's really, really good. I mean, for the entirety of the book, it's of course written in a past tense, indicative that, you know, this is a past action. It's happened in the past, and it's recounts of historical events, and so you'll get what is a really good narrative, a really good story. But every now and then it goes off into a little tangent just to explain or explore, like, the backstory of, say, the British Secret Service or the German Secret Service known as the Abwehr, and just explore what they're up to, or like explore the background of another character, just to give you a little bit of extra flavour to the story. But the main focus is on the eponymous Agent Zigzag, which is the name given to, the code name given to a man named Eddie Chapman by the MI5, British Secret Service, who intercepted him from the German Secret Service when he parachuted into England in 1942. Their nickname for him was Fritz, and I honestly can't remember why. Eddie Chapman was a career criminal from an early age, but is constantly throughout the book referred to as being an incredibly charming man. In fact, he's so charming that, like, the British Secret Service just are won over by him, and it takes a lot of convincing for them to think that he is, like, untrustworthy. Very, very rarely do they question his trustworthiness, even though he's all the while picking their pockets a little bit, like manipulating them to his own gain, not in an insidious manner. I don't want to spoil the story for you, not that, you know, real life has spoilers. But it's certainly a thrilling read. The interesting thing is, though, because it's written in a, you know, a dynamic where it's part history, part thriller, not that much thrilling happens. So that it's kind of hard to realise, maybe from a generation where I'm growing up on James Bond movies, from the era of late Pierce Brosnan into Daniel Craig with Skyfall and stuff like that, with like films like Argo, where something completely unbelievable, the rescue of 6 American diplomats or embassy workers, like pen pushers, get rescued by the cover of a film story. These things are bonkers, but particularly in the case of the James Bond films, you buy into them. And in Argo, constantly touted as this unbelievable true story, I was kind of finding it hard to not believe it, because, well, one, it's a true story, and two, it just seems plausible to me. It seems like it would actually work, mostly because it's a true story and it did work, which kind of hampers it in that respect. So saying that Agent Zigzag is the most notorious double agent of World War II, you can't see, it does make it hard to believe exactly why, and some of the missions he goes on aren't even sabotage of the Germans per se, but it's making them believe that he's still working for them, and countering the mission he was sent to do when he came to Britain. And so a lot of the missions that he goes on, or that he does for Germans or English, it's hard to see from a small point view how it could actually be effective. You know, but a bigger picture, it probably is, and it's a very interesting read. But I suppose it suffers a little bit from a lack of tension, maybe. But that being said, it's got some marvelous characters who are actually real people. Eddie Chapman is one of the most interesting characters I've ever read in any book. He's utterly marvelous as a character, and seeing his face in the little photographic inserts. All right, this is a photo of him after he was captured by the MI5, after he landed in Britain, and he's a little bit beaten up, not much, looks a bit tired, maybe a bit bruised, but he's got a tiny little smile, tiny thing hiding away. And what's just amazing is the way the novel plays out in a way you might not expect. It doesn't have an action-packed James Bond ending. It has a bit of an anti-climax, if you will. The sabotage of the saboteur, Agent Zigzag, Fritz, Eddie Chapman, and it's really interesting, because it's more of a biopic than it is of a historical thing, but there are loads of little nuggets of historical truths in it. Some of my favourites, taken from like one particular chapter in the book, I will explore in another video coming up in an hour or so, hopefully. All in all, the book is a really good read. If you like history, if you like the period of World War II, or you like spy stories, it's an utter marvellous read, and it's and it's really, it looks like it might be thick, but it's about 350 pages, no more than that, and you can process through it really quickly. I mean, I finished it in a week maybe, and when you reach the end, I had such a huge smile on my face for the resolution of Chapman's story. I realised how much it had affected me. So yeah, I would recommend you read this book. As far as technique goes, in terms of the narrative structure, it's all, like I said, it's all paced out in a very linear thriller structure, apart from the prologue, which, you know, it's a prologue, and prologues tend to be a little bit out of sync. For example, Brighton Revisited, that prologue doesn't come until roughly the end. This one comes up about a third of the way through the actual story, as it would be. It pops up when he lands back in England, and goes back to his backstory and travels from there. Like, you know, how he became a criminal, then how he ended up in Jersey, how he got from Jersey to France, then back to another part of France in the south called Nantes, from Paris, and travelling all around. And, you know, it's just a linear structure, but it's all very, I suppose, well paced, as well as you can for a historical novel. And it's, I guess, because of the way it shoots off in tangents to explore different people's backgrounds, it gives it a depth that it gives it a breadth that might not depth. It's a story of a one man, so it already has that, I guess. It gives it a breadth that sort of helps you understand the way that the British Secret Service worked in World War II, and the way it was actually superior to the Abwehr, run by super efficient Germans, was kind of crap, as they say in the book. I can't recommend it enough, really. But in terms of the narrative writing, the writing style, I mean, you know, it's a book about history, and you want to be able to understand what's going on without it being overly complex, without it being laboured. You don't want things to be ridiculously descriptive, because you're just trying to explore the truth as opposed to the perception, the representation of it. Although all literature and art forms are representation. Shut up. I say read it. It really is a very interesting book. If I say book one more time, I'm going to punch myself in the face. It's a really interesting read concerning one man, with all these other characters flitted around him for, you know, measure of truth. I've kind of petered off here, so I shall see you next time.